Hey guys, how y'all doing? Welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to talk about a subject that I spoke on back in the day when Tekken 7 was a new game, but I've recently been relatively silent on it except for a few tweets on Twitter and some passing comments during some of my Twitch live streams. But I think it's time to make a formal video on this expressing my opinions. I'm going to make a statement that's considered to be so far opposite of the norm that it might as well be blasphemy towards the Tekken community. And I want you to sit down for this and get comfortable and really listen to what I have to say. Are you ready? Alright, good. So here goes. Tier lists in Tekken 7 are just about useless. They are not nearly as important as the majority of players want you to believe, and Leroy Smith is not broken. And I'm going to tell you why. I firmly believe that every character in this game is capable of beating one another in competitive play, make deep runs in tournaments, and even win tournaments, essentially making tier lists almost useless in the long run. Let me give you a few basic examples to illustrate my thought process, and I'm going to use my main Katarina as an example. As a Katarina player, I know that if I block a move that's minus 15, I can launch it with a hop kick and get a full combo. However, if I'm playing Anna and I block that same minus 15 move, I cannot launch it because Anna doesn't have a 15 frame launcher. So where Katarina gets a launch and a full combo, Anna has to settle for less damage. On the other hand, if I'm Katarina and I block Heihachi's down forward 1-2, which is minus 13, the best punish I can get is while standing 1-1. But if I'm playing Eddie, I could get a launch with his while standing 1-3 because that move is 13 frames out of crouch. In this scenario, Eddie gets full damage while Katarina doesn't. But you know what Eddie doesn't have? He doesn't have a good sidestep, whereas Katarina has a great sidestep. On the other hand, Eddie's backdash is probably among the best in the game. Katarina has a good backdash, but Eddie's is really, really good. So among the best in the game, like I said. Let me compare Katarina and Anna just a bit more. So if I block a minus 16 move with Katarina, I can launch that. Okay, no problem, I can launch it. However, with Anna, if I block a minus 16 move, I might not even be able to launch that despite her down forward 2 launcher being 16 frames. The reason why is because Katarina has better range, has better reach than Anna. Anna's reach is kind of bad. All three characters used in this example have stances. However, out of the three, I would say that Katarina's Harrier stance is inferior to Eddie's Relax and Anna's Chaos Judgment, because Eddie, his Relax stance is very evasive, very threatening regarding mix-ups, and for example, Anna's Chaos Judgment stance has an automatic low parry, something that Katarina doesn't. So as you can see, all these characters have their own unique tools that might benefit them in certain situations, while the others don't have that same tool. However, this does not mean that automatically the character that doesn't have, let's say, a 15 frame launcher or a 13 frame launcher, that doesn't mean that they are automatically invalid from competitive play. It doesn't mean they are not viable. So how does this tie into Leroy? Although Leroy has moves that are considered good frame-wise when it comes to reach, some moves you can say are better variations of existing moves that other characters have. Whatever the case may be, ultimately Leroy is not broken and he is not unbeatable. Every single character in the Tekken 7 roster can beat him. What it comes down to is if the player on the opposite end has taken the time to learn the matchup against Leroy. Now, I'm very aware that very skilled top players have expressed their dislike for Leroy, whether it's in writing or in video form. I'm aware of that. And here's what I have to say about that. They are checked out. Leroy has broken their will to continue playing Tekken 7. The reality is that if your head is not in the game completely, you are more likely to lose a specific match because you're not focused. If when you fight Leroy, if when you see his icon show up before the match even starts, if you get a sense of dread come over you, you've already lost. It's more likely you're going to lose that match than you are to win it. It's a mental block that people have, and that's really what it comes down to. They have a mental block that's preventing them from practicing or playing to their fullest ability. This unfortunately leads to people crying on Twitter, harassing Michael Murray for a third patch of nerfs on Leroy minutes after the second one has been released. These people want everything handed to them. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to put in the hours. These are the same type of people that kicked me out of the Katarina Discord. If you've been following my channel for a while now, you know that I was once part of the Katarina Discord. And when Season 3 came out, I made a Katarina guide, as I do every season. And in that video, I said that despite the changes Katarina received, she was still a good character and was not nerfed to the ground. But oh no, the Katarina Discord, they did not want to hear it because they had convinced themselves that Katarina was bottom of the barrel, straight trash. As a result of that video, the head mod of the Katarina Discord kicked me out. I was silenced. I dared to express an opinion that was different from the general consensus that everyone in that place had come to. You see, these people want everything handed to them. You work with what you have, you put in the hours, you put in the time, and you see the benefits. That's what you do. But no, these people don't have that positive mentality. You see, your mind is a powerful thing. For example, if I were to tell you right now that you are aware of your blinking and breathing, you are going to be aware of your blinking and breathing. And you'll probably be thinking about it for a while until you forget about it while you continue watching this video. By the way, did you know that when you swallow, your ears click? Try it out. When you swallow, your ears, they click. Also, have you ever realized how Diglett's nose kind of looks like a mouth with a tooth? You can see an open mouth and a tooth there, I think. Interesting. Alright, so I might have gotten a bit sidetracked there, but let's bring this back to the main focus of the video. If you want to say that Leroy is overpowered, that he's a good character, okay, I can give you that much. But he is not broken. The reality is that Tekken 7 players have no idea what broken is. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I really want you to think about these and answer honestly. In competitive play, in tournament, have stages been banned because Leroy has too much of an unfair advantage on them? Does Leroy have a restriction on certain moves because they are simply too good? And I'm not talking about design like the cane, but have tournament organizers come together and said, Leroy cannot use this move more than X amount of times because it is simply way too good? Does Leroy have literal invincibility that renders him untouchable? Can Leroy hit you 2 times? Let's say he gets a 1-2 jab in you. Can he do that and then proceed to turtle you for the remainder of the round? Now, can he do that for 3 straight rounds? And can he do that in an entire set, whether it's first to 2, 3, 5, whatever? Are you literally forced to choose from one of 3, maybe 4 at most characters if you want to beat Leroy? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are lying to yourself, because I haven't seen that anywhere, and you know that you haven't seen that anywhere. And you want to know why? Because these are all the signs of a broken character, and Leroy is not a broken character. Now, why am I asking something very specific? Why are these questions very specific in nature? That's because I have played a game competitively where these questions applied to the top tier character in that game. A character that was actually broken. The game I'm talking about is Super Smash Bros. Brawl, and the character is Meta Knight. Now, before I go on, let's just stop, because I know that some people don't consider Smash a fighting game, and while it's not a traditional fighting game, it's still a fighting game. Let's just get that out of the way. It's featured at EVO. Genesis brings in an insane amount of views. So let's just get that out of the way for now, because I'm trying to make a point here. In that game existed a tier list, and the entire meta of Super Smash Bros. Brawl was revolved around how well a certain character played against Meta Knight, because Meta Knight was at the very top. He was the best character in the game without any doubt. So the entire meta of this game revolved around how well does this character fight against Meta Knight. Certain stages were banned in tournament play because he would have too much of an advantage on those stages. So the legal stage list in competitive play is a result of Meta Knight. Do you see what I'm saying here? You don't find that anywhere in Tekken. The entirety of Tekken 7 does not revolve around how well a character fights against Leroy. You see, in Super Smash Bros., a tier list makes perfect sense, and it's encouraged to listen and actually take into consideration that tier list, because in Smash, you're dealing with different character sizes, whether they're small, medium, or large, and you're also dealing with character weight, lightweight, middleweight, heavyweight. Certain combos don't work on certain characters depending on their size and weight differences. You don't see that anywhere in Tekken 7. If you're a Link player, you don't have to worry about fighting a Jack or a Gigas player. You don't have to think about, oh well, dang, my combos might not work on this character. I'm gonna have to switch characters. You don't really have to think about that. There are no character weight differences in Tekken 7, no weird float mechanics. Imagine your favorite character being Nina, for example, but her being useless because she's too light, she's too little to combo a character like Gigas, and forcing you to switch characters to somebody else. In Brawl, for example, Ice Climbers, if they got you in a chain grab and you played a heavy character, it's over. You might as well put the controller down and wait for the next stock, the next match, because you were not getting out of it. Imagine King put you in a chain grab, rolling Death Cradle for example, and you not having a chance to escape it because the character you play is simply too heavy. Simply put, in Super Smash Bros., you live and die by the tier list. Absolutely. You do not do that in Tekken. Not even close. Despite what you might think, Tekken 7 is actually a fairly balanced game. They've done a good job at making this a balanced game where everybody has a fighting chance. And like I said, it all depends on the player behind the controller. So here are my closing thoughts on this topic. When it comes to tier lists, I encourage you to not even pay attention to it. Even if you're doing tournament play. Really, play who you want, because at the end of the day, tier lists in Tekken 7 are almost useless. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.